Hi, everybody. I'm trying not to sigh this time when I go live, because I keep sighing every time I go live, and it's mostly because I'm like, God, here we go again. Because this seems to be, like, the case of what happens every single time. I turned off my fan, so that way it's not as obnoxious in the background. So, this is the blog we're gonna look at today. Only because, like, I do want to get all of this stuff in one place. That's my goal. That's my goal with reading all these blogs in particular, because it's like, how are you gonna find this person's blog way over here and this person's blog way over here? So, like, I'm trying to kind of get them all in the same spot. So that's my goal with doing this. I do have a couple other, like, articles and stuff that I do want to read at some point later in the future, because these have been kind of fun, and I think other people have been enjoying them, so we'll probably do a couple of them. I hope you guys enjoy the emotes. I've been working on them. They still need a couple of touch-ups, but they're getting there. The Screeching Goblin and Puck are good, however, the Fug and the Smug, I think the Smug needs to be a little bit darker on the details, because it's a little bit hard. It doesn't translate very well, and the Fug needs to be a little bit clearer on the lines. But we're getting there. So, let's get started. My Truth, My Story, and being #MeToo'd by vlogger Katie Joy Paulsen by Steve on May 21st, 2020. Let's see. This is my story. It is not the type of story that we have What? No, I did read that right. Oh, this is a good start. This is my story. It's not the type of story that we have unfortunately heard far too many times from victims of sexual assault or harassment, but the story of a victim who was falsely accused of sexual harassment. This story is not in any way even remotely attempt to compare what I have been through to what many women have been personally affected by sexual abuse or harassment have been through, but it's personal to me. Because it happened to me, personally. Oh, thank you, Bunny Wabbit. In December 2017, I started a YouTube channel with my then business partner Kyle Curtis called the NonSequitur Show. This show was predicated upon the motto that opinions were sacred and that we would allow voices of differing opinions to have discussions and dialogues. To say that this show was lightning in a bottle would be a bit of an understatement. Within a year and a half, the show had amassed millions of views, tens of thousands of followers, netted tens of thousands of dollars, reaching a fair market value of around $98,000. During the run of the show, Mr. Curtis had a vlogger named Katie Joy Paulsen join him to discuss a potentially extremely dangerous fermented drink called Jilly Juice. Not long after, Mr. Curtis unilaterally made a decision to make Mrs. Paulsen? She's married. A regular co-host to the show in a separate segment called The Smoking Nun. Well, at the time, I was not a fan of Miss Paulsen. I didn't have any outspoken objections to Mr. Curtis and her and Mrs. Paulsen doing their own show together. I'm going to keep saying it differently every time. On the channel, as I was under the impression that eventually they would have a spin-off channel of their own. Kind of like with That Time of the Month. If That Time of the Month gets popular enough, there's no point in keeping it on my channel. It will go on to become its own show. During the entire run of The Smoking Nun, I had only appeared with Mrs. Paulsen twice, both times being produced by our producer, David Fulton. Bull. Professionally known as Bullinator. Bull! This will be of relevant importance soon. On June 11th, 2019, Mr. Curtis made another unilateral decision. This time, it was to try to kick both me and Bullionator off the channel by removing our access to the channel and absconded with approximately $60,000, half of which was mine, money earned by ad revenue and by gracious donations from fans of the show. Mr. Curtis attempted to continue the show without me and the producer, resulting in enormous backlash by our fans. Leaving Mrs. Paulsen as a co-host. Miss Paulsen? It is Miss, right? I'm not fucking that up? Whatever. And as a moderator to the channel, on June 15th, 2019, just days after Mr. Curtis had stolen the show and all of the revenue, Miss Paulsen, in the live chat, made accusations that I had at some point sexually harassed her by making suggestive comments to her. Following this accusation, Miss Paulsen then accused me of committing fraud by failing to report income that I never received because Mr. Curtis never paid me anything. Hello. On August 23rd, 2019, I initiated a lawsuit against Mr. Curtis and filed a complaint in North Carolina, Guilford County Business Court, case number 2019 CVS 8163. During this lawsuit, Miss Paulsen made numerous false accusations in regards to my legal case in order to try and defend Mr. Curtis's actions by removing me and the producer from the show and fraudulently appropriating all revenue streams from the show. She incorrectly claimed that I was on disability and that I wanted the money under the table, and egregiously claimed that I was engaging in criminal activities. Here's the tweet. Katie Joy at KT Joy YouTube, YT YouTube, June 12th of 2019, or the 12th of June. Yes, he doesn't want to be paid because the income would look like income and he'd lose his disability. So he wants the money under the table, which means he wants to not report the income. Steve is asking Kyle to aid and abet him in criminal activities. I don't know how much more serious, how much more blatant you can get than that, but hey, what do I know? She further claimed I was on Social Security and wanted the money in cash, then later tried to claim that I never even wanted the money at all. I don't know about you, but I don't know too many people who would not want to be paid $30,000 for 1.5 years of work. Oh, sorry, 1.5 years of work. It is the whole reason I took Mr. Curtis to court. Why would I sue someone for $30,000 if I didn't want the money? Fair question. Without a Crystal Balls, or at Without a Crystal Ball, this is Without a Crystal Ball official, WOACB official, because she kept changing her handle. January 18th, I do believe this is of 2020. Steve admits, because it would have had to be, Steve admits he didn't want the money because he was on Social Security and wanted Kyle to pay him cash. So he wanted to hide the money? ? This chat, look, that's me! I'm sitting on my floor in my new apartment. So if anybody wants to see this actual hangout, go to my Twitter. It is one of the links within my pinned Google Docs. It's on Red's Rhetoric's channel, so it'll be one of the red ones. I've never been on disability, nor have I ever been on Social Security. I'll link it in the chat. I'll link it in the description, sorry. I've never been on disability, nor have I ever been on Social Security, nor did I say I wanted to be paid under the table, or that I wanted to be paid in cash. In numerous discussions with Mr. Curtis about being paid, I was unable to have him give me the name of the CPA he claimed to be using for us to control the show's finances, and he refused to provide me with the financial records. The producer of the show and myself were concerned about Mr. Curtis having fiscal malfeasance for months, leading to Mr. Curtis's removal of us both from the channel. I had informed Mr. Curtis that I wanted to be paid by drawing out against the business, and once rather flippantly said that I didn't care how he paid me. Deposit to my bank account, cashier check, or cash, just so long as I get paid. A cashier's check drawn against the business is a form of cash. It is accountable. It is not being paid under the table. Let me explain. The means by which you get paid is not relevant. If you want to be paid by a business in cash, you can request that and they can meet that. And they can either take the money out ahead of time for taxes, or you can report it separately. Either way, it's unreasonable to say that you can't ever be paid in cash. That's ridiculous. So, Without a Crystal Balls here saying, Steve admits he didn't want the money because he was on Social Security and wanted Kyle to pay him in cash. So he wanted to hide the money? ? Here's a screenshot of the NonSequitur Show live chat. Oh, look who's here! Oh, shocker. Surprise of absolutely nobody. without a crystal ball. Steve repeatedly said he didn't want the money. Well, it can't be both. Either he wanted to be paid under the table, or he didn't want the money, or, maybe he just wanted to get paid. It could be the simplest one. I don't know. In addition, a draw is taxable income a business owner takes, which is comparable to having a salary where the owner pays himself from the business. A draw would have been recorded in the books, and at that point, any tax liability would be mine and mine alone, meaning that it would have nothing to do with Kyle, so he wouldn't be aiding and abetting him in anything. If Kyle pays Steve and then Steve decides to not report it properly or improperly, that has nothing to do with Kyle. Miss Paulsen continued, however, to falsely accuse me of medical fraud merely days after Mr. Curtis removed me and our producer from the show. Miss Engineer, G.E. Caitlin, Godless Engineer's wife, and I didn't make any allegations, so everything should be fine. With only a crystal ball, Parody Engineer, saying, Casey asserts I didn't make any allegations, so everything should be fine, but ignored she agreed with Katie, who repeatedly made allegations against Steve, usually without actual evidence, and ignored when others corrected her. Katie saying, P.S. Elephant in the room, there is tax evasion going on here that someone fails to admit to. Miss Engineer, maybe, on Kyle's part. Mrs. Engineer, actually Steve, because they're talking about Steve, did admit to not wanting to take the money Kyle offered to send him until Kyle could physically bring him cash. That's in the Reds Hangout. Go watch the Hangout, I'll link it in the description. Katie Joy, which is fraud in all capitals, he is legally hiding income from the government. You mean illegally, Katie? He is legally hiding income from the government so that he can maintain his disability. 3 things wrong so far. That's fraud. If you are making money through your work and not reporting it on your taxes, that's fraud. Mrs. Engineer, yeah, it is. Yes. She never did videos. She just decided to take over her husband's channel, kind of, sort of. Yes it is. This is continued. Steve wants disability and income from non-sec. And that's not how disability works. You cannot defraud the government. You can have disability and have a job. It's just a matter of how much you're making, but that has absolutely nothing to do, because we get into how this is about the VA, how this is veteran affairs, which is unrelated. Oh yeah, of course they are. They don't stop. Katie continues, asking Kyle to participate in that fraud could get Kyle in trouble legally. Sure, but Steve asking to get paid for his work isn't participating in that either way. Just saying. Katie, what medical do you receive? Medical disability? Medical benefits? Who pays those benefits? Medical what? Medical disability? The only reason you would want a certain amount a month is to make it so you still qualify for that income. Asking Kyle to participate in that fraud could get Kyle in trouble legally. Which is fraud. He's legally hiding income from the government so that he can maintain his disability. That's fraud. If you are making money through your work and not reporting it on your taxes, that's fraud. Who pays your medical? I'm still waiting. Who pays your medical? Why aren't you answering? Who pays your medical? What medical do you receive? Medical disability? Medical benefits? Who pays those benefits? Medical what? Medical disability? The only reason you would want a certain amount, this is doubled up. Anyway, let me be clear on this. My medical is no one's business but my own. However, for transparency, I have been very open about my medical because of, this is supposed to say Miss Paulsen, not Mr. Paulsen's, false allegations. I have VA benefits. Veterans. Benefits I have earned by serving my country for 6 years in the United States Navy as a Navy nuke during Operation Desert Storm and Desert Shield, which are not contingent upon any income that I make. I also have secondary medical, which was available to me, which is closer to my residency than the VA hospital, neither of which was Miss Paulsen's business, neither of which are nor were ever based upon any disability rating. I have a 0% rating from the military. I get 0 cash benefits from the military. I get 0 social security benefits. Miss Paulsen was willfully trying to defame my character to cover up Mr. Curtis actually committing fraud. Miss Paulsen also continued to willfully mislead people. I remember when this happened, there was a lot of people trying to correct her who are veterans that were trying to correct her. Miss Paulsen also continued to willfully mislead people by telling them that Mr. Curtis and I had reached some sort of agreement on terms of payment and that we had settled. This was blatantly untrue, as our producer Boole had explicitly informed Miss Paulsen that nothing was ever settled and Mr. Curtis never gave us any terms nor offered to pay us in any type of payment plan. Katie, I was told they agreed on terms and payment. They settled it. It's over. It wasn't... The fact that this is still going on proves that that was wrong. It wasn't until the following year of January 23rd, 2020, that the Honorable James L. Gale issued an entry of partial judgment by default against Mr. Curtis and found him liable for fraud, fraudulent conversion, unfair and deceptive trade practices, breach of fiduciary duty, and breach of contract, and I was awarded treble damages once we can establish a proper financial records. I was legally vindicated completely, and I will be asking for around $100,000 plus settlement. Miss Paulsen, just prior, had reached out to me to apologize after finding out that Mr. Curtis had in fact lied about many things, and even admitting she knew that he had lied. He lied about me committing fraud, he lied about having a lawyer, he lied about having a CPA, and he lied about not asking other people to lie on his behalf to cover up his stealing $60,000+ and the show. Katie Joy. I wanted to believe my friend, and sadly, he wasn't being forthcoming. I value my honesty, that didn't age well, and expect that of my friends. In this case, I hope that Steve gets the money he is rightfully due, and that Kyle will admit he misled so many of us. Eventually, I realized that Kyle wasn't being truthful for whatever reason. Maybe he didn't have the money, maybe he was trying to buy time. I didn't want to be associated with fraud of any kind. Since it's been over 3 months, I realized my gut feelings were right. I'm just gonna turn on a light real quick. It's getting dark in here. Over weeks, I sought clarification from Kyle privately, but was always given the excuses that didn't add up. I believed him when he said he had a lawyer and would pay Steve. When I pushed him to provide his lawyer information to Steve, Kyle's reasoning made no sense. I read the lawsuit this morning filed at... Really? You read it this morning? Did you not read it before? Whatever. I read the lawsuit this morning filed by Steve against Kyle. Months ago, I made statements about him based upon information provided me by Kyle, and blocked anybody who said otherwise. I believed my friend and accused Steve of defrauding the government. I'm sorry for making those statements. I knew Kyle Curtis lied about the money and repaying Steve. I apologize for what I said to Steve about the allegations related to fraud because of what Kyle told me. I admitted I trusted her friend. I'm happy to hear Steve won his case. I will not apologize for anything else. You admit in your explanation about your apology that you didn't actually apologize? Weird. I would have hoped for a little more than that. Aw. The community is very good at calling out the illogical, stupid, and outright bad. I'm disappointed that the wrong to Steve has been acknowledged so begrudgingly. That's a good word. He may not be your favorite YouTuber, but he still deserved better. I apologize to Steve. I do not under any circumstances need to apologize for anything else he demands. They didn't tell you to apologize more. They're just saying they're disappointed in you for your whatever. I'm nitpicking, I guess. The past months of constant tweets about me and numerous videos exposing me is over the top and unwarranted. Go tell that to your buddy Uni. Jason, I guess. Whatever he's going by now. She, however, would not apologize for her fake allegations that I somehow sexually harassed her. Instead, she played as if she was the victim in all of this and that I somehow was harassing her and bullying her merely because I continued to point out her inaccurate and false statements against me and my character. Here she goes. I want to make something abundantly clear. I apologized for what I said to Steve. I, however, do not believe that statement warranted the harassment, name-calling, and bullying I received. Please remember we are humans behind the screen names. Miss Paulsen even made a video apology to me, then removed it after I would not settle for anything less than full vindication by her rescinding her claim that I somehow sexually harassed her. Fair enough. Hello. This is what I know. At Steve McRae showed me the evidence, and here is how I figured it out. Video unavailable. What I learned after the NonSequitur Show channel ended. Yep, because she took it down. That's just a screenshot of her taking the screenshot down. Over several months, her story changed from me mentioning the word penis at some point. She never has said when, to claiming that I was making reference to her hotness in a tweet, which was actually a tweet about a porn star guest that we had interviewed on the show by the name of Mercedes Carrera, to which Miss Paulsen replied, "Wow, she's got some boobs though." I doubt very much Miss Carrera, who was a very entertaining and engaging guest, would be appalled by me saying she was amazing, brilliant, funny, personable, hot as fuck. But Miss Paulsen claimed this somehow made her uncomfortable, and that other women had experiences like that. Mob mentality is toxic. I shared that more than one occasion I was uncomfortable by things said to me by Steve that were sexual in nature. I had asked other women if they had experienced that or felt demeaned by him, then call me a liar. I know I'm not alone. I haven't seen one person, not one, has said this about Steve. Not one. So I have no idea. And, it's not like that wouldn't be everywhere if that were the case. But, not even the people who actively dislike Steve have actually publicly made this kind of claim. So I have no idea who she's talking about. Here's what Steve said to Mercedes Carrera on September 16th of 2018. She was amazing, brilliant, funny, personable, hot as fuck. A great time was had by all, and we look forward to having her back in October, her schedule permitting. Katie, wow, she's got some boobs though. This also says angry pout, but I think that's getting cut off because it's not relevant. None of which have ever once came forward in any way claimed that I have ever sexually harassed them. Over several months, her story changed from being uncomfortable to directly accusing me of sexual harassment and various crimes. Katie, nope, but I'm not apologizing for saying you made a statement that made me uncomfortable because that is my truth. If you want to discuss privately, that's fine. Steve responds, there's a huge difference, Katie, between 1, Steve made me uncomfortable, and 2, Steve sexually harassed me. Massive difference. You accuse me of a crime. Katie responds, Steve, my DM is open. I'm not discussing this. And if you keep tagging me on this topic, I'm going back to blocking. Okay, I'm not gonna say what victims should and should not want from people who have assaulted them. But why would somebody being accused of a crime, this kind of personable crime, agree to go into a private call with the person that's accusing them? That's just asking for trouble. That's just that would be really not a good idea. She says, quote, because that's my truth, or more specifically her version of the truth, none of which seems to actually comport with reality. This is where it is important, where I remind people that our producer, Bullionator, was in both shows, that I had been on air with Miss Paulsen. Bullionator never witnessed any harassment that Miss Paulsen claimed during multiple iterations of her story. First, it was I had mentioned the word penis in a VMix call prior to one of our shows, and making her feel uncomfortable, and making her feel uncomfortable by saying a porn star was hot, to occurring a private phone call with her when people asked her for details of this event. I have never called nor have been called by Miss Paulsen, and to the best of my knowledge, we have only ever communicated via Twitter, DM, and Facebook. Mr. Curtis didn't even support Miss Paulsen's claims that I sexually harassed her. Never once did he say he had ever heard at any time of me being inappropriate with her, nor any other guests that we have ever had on the show. Bullionator wrote on Facebook to Miss Paulsen about her willfully spreading misleading information to help cover up Mr. Curtis's fraudulent activities by not keeping accurate accounting of financial records, conversion of funds into personal property for himself, and stealing the NonSequitur Show YouTube channel and related assets. David Fulton, Bullionator's Facebook. I am generally concerned about the message being sent back and forth here. I lost a child 15 years ago, and I had enough bad stuff happen IRL then. I can honestly say Steve McRae did not release this. He is pointing it out because it fits the trend of what Katie has been doing. If it's false, that's a horrible tactic for someone to use to add tension to an already bad situation. Katie, I am quite disappointed in your part in all this. You were wrong. Please take some responsibility for what you have said and done. I have seen the apology video you made, and even though it's more about saving face than taking responsibility, you did admit that what you said was wrong. It's simply too bad that you didn't listen to anyone but Kyle when all this went down. You mentioned me in that video and how you were upset over our friendship. If you were that upset and it meant that much to you, why didn't you listen to me back in July when I pointed out that you were in error in your assertions about the NonSequitur Show? I was there along with 3 other people besides Kyle. Do you think I would lie for Steve? It didn't seem weird to you that the 2 out of 3 people from the channel were saying one thing and Kyle was saying something completely different? Instead, you forced your apology video to be removed from Steve McRae's channel while simultaneously removing it from yours. Then you went right back to spreading the same false information again. Additionally, you seem to be editing history, deleting comments about people who disagree with you. Guess what? You cannot delete this one. I was there. I know the truth about it. But you never bothered to ask me about it. You were more concerned with how your relationship with Kyle Oh, hey, Puck. You were more concerned with... Is it a bun bun? Might be a bun bun. Can I get a Puck in chat, please? Thanks. But you never bothered to ask me about it. You were more concerned with how your relationship with Kyle would affect our friendship, apparently with no regard to the truth or confirmation of it. This is savage. You could end this in an instant by making a sincere apology and accepting the real-world consequences of your actions, which at this point does include defamation per se. I'm not a lawyer, but I can read. I can read what constitutes a crime, and I don't need a lawyer to tell me when one is being committed right in front of my face. You disappoint and disgust me with your disassembling right now. I think this is right now. I think that's an RN. It might be an M. Oh, I'm glad I put alcohol in this. Miss Paulsen used the horrible accusation of sexual harassment with absolutely no evidence of any kind to support it. Most who have ever asked Miss Paulsen for evidence have been blocked by her, as she refuses to ever provide a single shred of evidence of any sexual harassment. She weaponized sexual harassment as her own personal cudgel? Oh, cudgel. That took me a minute. Goblin reading. To try to attack my character, to try to impunge my character. This type of weaponization hurts actual victims of sexual harassment, such as the many women in my life who I care about who have actually been victims of sexual harassment and assault. This makes it inordinately more difficult for victims such as them to come forward to speak out against those who do actually sexually harass others. I wrote this not to play victim, not to elicit any form of sympathy that I was falsely accused of and lied about by Katie Joy Paulsen, but simply to warn others about any future dealings with her come with inherent chances that she can lie about you with what she thinks is impunity. This is my story. This is the truth. Helios57545 says, a known liar making false accusations about you of sexually assaulting her, inviting you to a private chat. Oh yeah, that doesn't scream like a trap for fake screenshots at all, /sarcasm. Yeah, that sounds about right. So, appended, just today, there's an update to this. Katie Joy footage of her admitting it was not sexual harassment, even though she did in fact lie and claim at one point that it was. A light on, it was impossible to. There we go. Here we go.
I freaking love ends up tagging me in this tweet where this guy is basically like mocking me for saying that he sexually harassed me, which I never said that like he directly sexually harassed me. I said he made inappropriate sexual comments around me. And it was when we were doing live streams. And I think sometimes when you guys like are in the creative world, there's like this, people don't sometimes look at what we're doing as a job, and so they don't have their guards up and they're not acting like professionals. But I try to be professional in everything that I do because like I feel like I'm representing a brand, and I have been running without a crystal ball for 5 years, no, 4 years. 5 years? I don't even know. 4 years, 5 years.
I'm gonna play that again real quick.
Tweet, I freaking love, ends up tagging me in this tweet where this guy is basically like mocking me for saying that he sexually harassed me, which I never said that like he directly sexually harassed me. I said he made inappropriate sexual comments around me. And it was when we were doing.
He made inappropriate sexual comments around me. So how do you respond to that like a rational human being? You say, hey, I'm not comfortable with that. Stop. And if those people don't stop, or you decide to not, you leave the conversation. Alright? You go, okay, well, not doing it. You don't accuse them of sexual harassment. Like, that's ridiculous. Her claims that it was sexual harassment on June 15th, 2019, and again on June 25th, 2020. So here's her saying it wasn't sexual harassment and that she never claimed it was sexual harassment, and here's screenshots demonstrating how that's not the case. Without a crystal ball, when you are working, you should not have to worry about being sexually harassed. People wonder why I said he sexually harassed me. This is how these men talk all of the time. And then, oh god, I only assume that this is some troll video. Steve McBoomer, mind engineer. After watching this, why would anyone doubt the veracity of Katie? Steve making her feel uncomfortable. Oh, this is... I think this is the clip. I don't know what the clip is, but I'm assuming this looks like it's the clip of Manya and... Fuck! Fuck! What are you doing? I know you're right here. Do you want to come and say hi? Come here! Come here! What a dingus. He's like right behind. He's not supposed to be up here, but he's being a sneaky boy. So yeah, there it is. I don't know what else much to tell you. That's the blog. That addendum is spicy though. That is spicy. Does anybody have any questions? Or anything I need to go over again or explain? I feel like most of this is pretty much yeah, it looks like a troll vid. It's only 1 minute and 6 seconds long, and if this corner is what I think it is, I think it's probably the conversation Manya was having with Steve, which Manya has gone out of her way multiple times to say, hey, I was not uncomfortable, you're full of crap, don't speak for me. But hey, what do I know? It's only like she's on my show. Should I show you guys my response to this video? I tell you what I said? I'll tell you. Let me pull it up real quick. And then we will be off. Because I do believe there is an announcement stream going on over on Red's Rhetoric's channel. So let's see. Tweets and replies. So what I had said was... See if I can find the damn thing. Oh, here we go. Oh, nope, wrong one. Hold up, I'll find it. Here we go. Inappropriate sexual comments around me. It was while we were doing live streams. So, one, if it was while we were doing live streams, where are the streams? Should be video and audio. 2, sexual comments around you, not at you, and therefore not up to you. 3, what about Bool? If you don't like it, you say, hey, I don't like this, and or you fuck off. You are not the arbiter for all women. If some women are okay with sexual banter, let them be. If some women aren't, that's also okay. That's what second wave feminism was about. God, thanks for throwing it back to the 50s. Because that's what we want. Failed in engineering for 5. Just because Steve is talking with other women who have given him consent and can handle adult sexual banter does not mean he spoke to KJ like that. Correctamundo. But yeah. Smitty, this is how Steve speaks to women that he's friends with and are cool with it, so not Katie Joy Paulsen. Correct. Congratulations. Well, that's the, we do have squirrels. But that's the end. That is the, that's the end of the article. That's the end of the blog. So hopefully we've got all of these in the same... When's the debate/discussion on that other channel happening? I've probably missed it. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Shoot me a DM and let me know what you're talking about. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Bunny Wabbit, for becoming a new member. Also, I hope you guys enjoy the emotes. I'm a fan. I think they're good. I think they need some touch-ups, but I'm going to have to plug my tablet in to actually do that. I tried to touch them up on just the computer, and it wasn't quite working. So I'll have to mess with that a little bit. I hope you guys enjoy. I will be back tomorrow with halftime of the month, and we will be covering BDSM stuff. So that's going to be huge and ridiculous. Failed in engineering for 10 says, I will clear this one last time. Steve has my consent for that type of sexual banter, and I am not a young girl who cannot handle adults talking. Steve has always asked for consent and has always been respectful. There you go. So hopefully we've got all of these in the same place for now. I would be more than happy to read a blog written by Katie if I thought it was going to be worthwhile, and if I thought that she didn't have a large enough platform that she doesn't really need me to put it out there for her. It's not like she needs help with that. But a lot of these people don't have this kind of platform, and a lot of these were written in a place where the platform wasn't cohesive. So, like I said, it was all about getting this all together. Tomorrow will be halftime of the month. That will be at 9:45 Eastern, not PM, 9:45 p.m. Eastern time. So I will see you all tomorrow. We're gonna be talking about safety and cleaning and, you know, being a good. No, Conspiracy Cats has not been in touch. And no offense, I would not blame him if he was not in touch for that, because okay. Have a good night, everybody. See you over on Red's Rhetoric's channel. Bye.